Today we are going to go through kind of a pre-checklist of our initial startup on an LS swap. We're buttoning up the swap right here in this K5 and adding the fluids, getting the battery hooked up. We've got a few things that I like to do before we even attempt to fire one up. Just some basic stuff. We're going to check for fuel leaks. We're going to bleed the coolant system without starting the vehicle. It may not bleed it all the way, but it's going to get it a lot closer than just putting coolant in the reservoir. We also have to load a base file in the ACES EFI and get that ready to go. So we've got to get a little bit of information, run a couple tests, try some key-on cycles, and to just kind of show you guys what a swap looks like right before we start it, what we do right before we fire one of these things up. So let's dive into it. All right, so one of the things we're going to do is we've got a coolant crossover in the front of this thing, and he's got a hose running down and around that goes up right here to the radiator. So we're going to take that off. I'm going to hold my finger over the, let me get situated here. I'm going to hold my finger over the radiator side. It's drinking now. You can see the reservoir is drinking, and this is going to allow any air pocket to get out of there. We're going to let the radiator fill up first. Once we have coolant coming out of this port, I'm just going to hold my finger over it. I can feel it pushing air out of the hose too. That means it's filling the block up and pushing any air that's in the block out. If you do this strategically, you won't make very big of a mess. Still pushing air out of the radiator.
No leaks underneath, right?
I don't see anything or hear anything. I can hear it circulating through the block. All right. She's taking a big drink over here now. Well, like I said, the whole objective here is with this line disconnected, you're allowed to not only get the air pocket out of the radiator, fill the radiator all the way up to this port, but you're also allowed to get all the air out of the engine block, being that this coolant crossover comes from the highest point of the block. Once we start getting coolant out of this hose, we will simply reconnect this, and then we'll bleed the coolant system like we normally would with the heat on full blast once the vehicle started. I've found, though, this speeds up the process and keeps you from getting a vehicle up to temp and having to shut it down and let it cool off and see if it takes a drink and so on. It just kind of speeds up the process of bleeding the coolant system. All right, so at this point, we've got 2 gallons of coolant, full-strength coolant, and then we've got 1 gallon of water so far, and now he's putting the 2nd gallon of water in. Now, this is a big radiator. It's a cold case radiator, and this thing does still have a heater core. Still pushing air out of the radiator. Yep. All right, so there it is out of the radiator. Now I'm just going to hold my finger over it and let it fill the engine up. As you can see, it's drinking. It's big gulping it like your drunk uncle. All right, beans, we're 2 gallon for 2 gallon. 2 gallons of full strength and 2 gallons of water. He's going to get another jug of coolant. We're going to put some more coolant in it. Probably do like, I don't know, a quart or so of coolant. We're right there in the home stretch. We got some coolant coming out of here now. It's like bleeding brakes. I'm going to wait for all the bubbles to stop. Get a steady stream. You see as it drinks it, it pulls it back. Put some more in it. Some water if you got any. All right. Oh shit, where's the clamp? Okay, clamp's on there. Alright, so now he can run his hose clamp back down right there. The coolant system's ready to go. Like I said, that's not something you have to do, but it definitely helps when you're trying to bleed the coolant system. And for some reason I found square bodies are harder to keep cool than any other vehicle that we swap. I don't know why. And they're harder to bleed too. Alright, so now that we've got the coolant system bled, we are going to prime the fuel system and check for leaks. I did notice while we were bleeding the coolant system, I was apparently pouring coolant directly on my creeper. So, shouldn't have a problem with it overheating now. Be a lot cooler if that didn't happen. Oh, hang on, I'm not even plugged up to the screen. Apparently. Alright, so I didn't even have the screen plugged up, so let's see if the ACES comes on now. We have power inside the truck though. Yeah, so I forgot, as a safety feature, until this is set up, it doesn't let the fuel pump kick on. So we have to set this up. So we're running a Jackpot. First time connection, the wizard complete. Enter the wizard to complete basic configuration. Yes. Alright, so we are going to go with Imperial units because I am American. We've got air fuel ratio over lambda. This is a GMLS. It is a 24X because it's a Gen 3. We're going to run a stock cam. I don't remember what map sensor I'm running. So we're going to try a map with no part number. It is a dual wideband setup. Drive by cable. Yes to the trans control. It's early model 60. 8 injectors. I don't even know what injectors are in this thing. We'll come back to that in a second. We'll check for fuel leaks first. 680 hot idle. It's a little high, but it'll be okay. Save, yes. Please key off for 5 seconds to make configuration effective. So that'd be a 1 Mississippi, a 2 Mississippi, a 3 Mississippi, a 4 Mississippi, and a big old 5 Mississippis. It's going to come up to ask you Jackpot or such and such or such and such, and I don't want you to show me that again. So we're going to hit that down at the bottom. Bazinga. I don't even see a fuel pressure on here. Sensors. We're looking for FPS. Wow, we've got fuel pressure. We've got 42 pounds at the rail. We're going to hit that again and see if it's going to kick me back out. Watch. So we'll have to move some stuff around on here. Most people don't really need to know what their ignition advanced timing is going down the road. Map pressure being in PSI. A lot of people aren't even going to mess with that, or the injector pulse width. So we'll probably move some of this stuff around. So he's got like fuel pressure. If I'm not mistaken, we've got an oil pressure gauge in here too, so we need to get that set up. But now we need to pull a part number off the injector, see what the flow rate of those are, so we can set that as the flow rate in here. Double check for leaks. I feel like I could smell fuel, but I didn't hear anything pissing. And we had fuel pressure. A lot of times if you're leaking, you're not going to have fuel pressure. So, well, let's start at the top. Check for leaks, DJ, on the motor. Going down and around. I think the only fluid we have on the floor is where DJ spilt transmission fluid. Some of that gender neutral fluid. Huh? Oh, you got jokes. Missed his creeper though, he said. He said, I missed my creeper though. No, you should be able to spin one of them passenger side ones a little bit. They're probably 36s. It probably has it right, but. All right, so it looks like we've got the last 4 of the part number is 6903. If we're looking at Google, it says they're a 02 to 07 vehicle, Cummins Silverados and Sierras. They're known to flow around 32 pounds. Down here it says, while some sources state 33 pound per hour at 50 psi, others indicate 32, and some suggest that they are rated at 36. They are often described as 32 pound per hour injectors for customer boosted applications. I don't know why the hell you'd run a 32 pound per hour injector in a boosted application, but we're going to set it at 32 and see how it does. One more thing, DJ, will you give me the part number off the map sensor? Essentially, we're just going to go back into the wizard, go all the way back through to the injector, and backspace. We're going to put 32.00. And we're going to finish going through this. Key off for 5 seconds. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi. DJ's trying to get the part number on the map sensor. 0935. 9409. It's not good. That's not in our ACES. So we're going to put it as a map GM style with no part number like we had before. Now we need to do a TPS relearn too. This is a new Holley Sniper 92mm throttle body with new sensors. So we're going to go into the wizard. TPS. Yes. Save. Set successfully. All right, so now we've checked for fuel leaks. We've bled the coolant system the best we can. We've got power steering fluid in it. We've got a gallon of trans fluid in it. I think we're ready to start this thing up for the first time. So. I know it's ACES. ACES being a little loud there. £36 of oil pressure, 42 pounds of fuel pressure. All right, guys, so that's a quick little round of checks that we do before we do a first fire up on an LS to ensure a good, smooth, clean fire up. They don't always go like that, but luckily this one did for you guys, and you guys got to see firsthand what a swap looks like and what all we go through right before we start one up. Now we can work out a couple of the little bugs, make sure for sure we don't have any leaks, loom all the wires in the engine bay. We've got to get his fuel gauge hooked up for him and do some base tuning. Now for this particular swap, we did do a manual T-case for the four-wheel drive. It is a right-hand drop, and if I'm not mistaken, he said it come out of like an 89 to 91 four-wheel drive Suburban. It was an electronic speed sensor, but it is a different style than a regular 4L60 and four-wheel drive transfer case take. So we did have to splice that in. I'm fingers crossed that that VSS will work with the ACES, no problem. That's something we're going to be testing later this afternoon. Sorry, I got it working. I had to make sure it worked. All right, guys, so it is Friday evening. We got this thing fired up for the first time this morning. We had a couple little bugs we had to work out. The blower motor wasn't working with the HVAC. Wire was off of its terminal under the hood, so we got that taken care of. Emma loomed the entire engine harness out, got it all loomed up, looking great. So the VSS does work. It picked up a VSS signal. If you didn't catch before, we're running a like 89 to 91 NP208 transfer case, and it's a different plug VSS sensor than the typical 4L60 and four-wheel drive setup that comes in your 99 and up truck. So we're trying to dial that in now. I've got a way in the ACES. It'll only read a certain percentage and it'll calculate it, and you kind of dial that in. So what we've got going on here is I've got the laptop set up right here in between me and Emma, and then I've got my phone over here that's almost dead, but I've got my phone set up on a GPS speedometer that's pretty accurate. We use it for tuning a lot. Just to kind of run over the vitals that we got going here. We've got engine coolant temps running at 194. Our intake air temps, we do have the hood off, but our intake air temps are only at 115 on a 96-degree day, one of the hottest days of the year. I don't think that's too bad. You guys notice it's getting dark here, the sun's setting, and I'm still sweating my tail off. So oil pressure sitting at a whopping 31 pounds, hot, and I mean hot because we've been running this thing here the last hour or so. Transmission fluid is at 158. Our target AFR is 14.7, and our actual AFR is 14.7. So we're going to cruise around the building a few times and kind of see what this thing looks like at parking lot speeds, and then we're going to run it down the road and see if we can't dial in the VSS. And Blaine's going to come get this thing and try to put his camper shell in this weekend. I'm sorry, camper in this weekend, and then bring it back next week. And we're going to button up a couple little things on it and then do a full breakdown video for you guys. So be on the lookout for that. Let's go cruise this thing around a little bit and see what we're working with. Okay, right now it says I'm doing 25 miles an hour. So I think I might have went the wrong way with my percentage deal. So if I go here, VSS calculation correction, it was set at like 39 and I moved it up to 100. Let's try 30. Curious to see what that looks like. Now, I don't know if this changes automatically or if I'm going to have to stop and rewrite it. Yep. Alright, so at 5 miles an hour, we're now doing 13 miles an hour? No, it's got 16 miles an hour. Okay, so we're going to keep on rolling with that. Probably need to adjust this a little more, but got it in the general area now. My exhaust leak has, I think it's getting a little worse. So I don't know if I already said that or not, but we need to get some V-band clamps on the way. And cut out those slip joints and put in a couple V-bands, get it sealed up under the truck. But it's supposed to freaking be hot this weekend. And he has an air-conditioned shop, so he's looking forward to be able to have some time to put his camper in this weekend. All right, so I bumped it down from 40% to 10%, and now I'm about to give it 5% more back because now we're a little slow. Now it says we're doing 24 when we're doing about 40. So we'll throw another 5% in it, and then we'll drive the rest of the way down to Miss Addie's. Alright, so we're closing the gap. We're only about 5 mile an hour off now. We should be able to bump it up 1 or 2 more percent. We should be alright. Reading 40 and 47, 41 and 47. Cruising down here to Miss Addie's, had a couple more. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. We went through our checklist. We got the first fire up done. We got a little bit of tuning done. We got this thing dialed in. Now, normally I would hang on to a swap vehicle for at least a few days, put some more miles on it, try to get as much learning in on the ECM as possible, and then dial the learning back. But for this particular build, the customer wants to get that camper in this weekend like we talked about, so we're going to go ahead and let him take it tonight, and then he's going to bring it back next week when he gets his camper in, and we'll button up our couple little things we've got to do and get some more tuning on this. We will be reaching out to Justin Richardson to remote tune this, and I think Blaine's talking about trying to make the trip to LS Fest in this thing if we can make it happen. So that's what we're aiming for. Now, when he does bring this thing back next week, we are going to film a whole episode on a full breakdown of all the parts we use. We're going to do some underneath shots. We're going to go through and show you guys everything about this swap because we didn't get to do content on the swap itself. And I really, really want to share this one with you guys because I think it's a really great quality swap. We use nothing but quality parts, and through, it's been a very smooth swap. It's just been finding little bits and pieces were pretty hard. And we may not list all those little bitty nickel and dime parts, but for the main part, we will list all the parts we use to do this swap. We appreciate you guys tuning in and watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to see more content like this on LS swaps and modifications. And make sure you look for us on social media, Facebook and TikTok, at 727 Motorsports, at Panda C10, and at Misdemeanor. We'll put those links in the description as well. And until next time, if you guys ain't following us, grab that button.